Hey everybody, today we will just be doing Storm Shield with Twine East. What I'm going to be showing off today is my Cheese Grater build. The Cheese Grater build is what we can just see right here in the distance. So this basically is a 4 tile high structure. So if we look at the tiles, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have the slant, and the slants go all across. Now all of the slants, the bottom of the slants will touch the 4 tile distance. Now what this is going to cause is, much like my monolith style build, it has the same mechanics, and what's going to happen is the husks will despawn. So once they get shut up here, what's going to happen is they'll get up there, realise they have nowhere to go, and they will then despawn. Just put my banner down here. Now, I will also need to give credit to Isherwood for he's over on Twitch, because he told me about the floor launcher thing that I wasn't aware of, and why this build was probably working way better than I initially thought it should be. So basically what the floor launchers do is they kind of multiply the impact for every husk that is currently standing on them. So say that Smasher is on there with another husk at the same time, that will then do double the amount of impact, because it's triggering the impact for both the small husk and the Smasher. Instead of applying it individually between each husk, it almost gives double for each of the husks. So it means when confined with multiple husks on one tile, it does multiple impact to each target. Now what I'm going to do is just get to a location where I can actually show you this despawning happening. So if we come down here, we can watch from here, and I'll be able to show you this. If we just put this sort of pyramid up and I edit it down, it doesn't do anything. This makes it so much worse. So we come down here, we can see the despawning happening. So they're up there, and you see they just despawn. Now this one isn't because he has an interaction, but as soon as we remove his interaction, he can't interact with us, he'll despawn. So he can no longer aim and hit us. As you'll see, the rest will just start despawning. Now however, the lobbers are thrown at us because they can target us, but we'll just keep watching for the rest of this wave. Now as you can see, what I've done up the top is put a lobber shield, as well as covered it with ceiling drop traps. Now the ceiling drop traps make the cheese for this build, so this is almost like the cheese from the cheese grater falling down through the cheese grater and going down below. And that's where the nickname Cheese Grater comes from, as well as it looking like a cheese grater, to be honest. So if I just go around and go up, I'll just show you what it looks like. So this is basically the build. It's a 4 tile high structure, so you just attach it 4 high, and then it's just a bunch of slants with just the walls on the sides. You can't put any flats, or on the top you can't put flats on the top, because if you do that it will mess it up. So if we come around the top here, this is all it is. So let's put this one here. But yeah, this is all it's going to be. So 4 tiles high, which is down the bottom here, and then up here touches on the 5th tile. This means that neither the bottom nor the top or anything around the sides has a current drop of 3 tiles. So they're not going to be able to break down at any point. Now the trouble comes, if I was to come down here and put a floor here, this could potentially create a want for the husks to want to actually break this part here, because they'll want to break the wall so that they can then jump down onto this 3 tile drop if they can just clip the edge and jump down. You will commonly see the husks, little ones especially, trying to do this. I used to have it where I extended it out. So this Cheese Grater build was extended out across, and it was near to this tile. I will try and show that build as well, but yeah, my footage of that has actually gone, so I don't have that at the minute, and I'll have to recreate it. But it was a lot bigger than this, and it spanned all the way out to the home base. So yeah, again, this build works really well if you can get these out quite far, because what's going to happen is multiple husks come on here at the same time. The idea is to not actually kill any of the husks, so that these smashers can be on this tile at the same time as another husk is on here. So if you had like 2 husks and a smasher, the smasher's getting launched instantly, because it's almost like get them getting hit with 3 times the amount of impact. So it will mean that they'll instantly get launched because of the multiple husks that are actually on the floor launcher. Just going to move my mic over. I'm not sure if this works with all launchers. I'm assuming it would as well. But we'll just run over to this base over this side. Gee, I might as well just cover this. So basically, as well as running the cheese grater, what I'm also doing is then just running a recycling build. So this is just recycling them back down to the bottom. Now something you can do is when you're up here is literally just place a wall. You can use wood for this, works pretty well. Because if you just place a wall here, what this is going to do is these sound traps will still be able to activate to be able to do the sound, yeah, and stop these little dudes from getting up. But this little guy won't be able to get up because once he gets to this wall, you can literally just auto place them. Because it's on a ramp, the husk can't actually try and get up the ramp before you're able to auto place another wall. So it means you can place another auto build another wall straight here, and they won't be able to pass through it. So you can just stand there spamming the auto build. The only thing which affects this and makes it worse is if you have a taker, because they'll be able to phase up through the floors to then try and slap you. However, this is why I've placed a lot of wall and floor launchers all around here. So it means I can stand at this point and kind of be a bit safer versus the takers, because I'll be having 1, 2, 3 launchers kind of directly on the takers to be able to go off straight away the moment that they're going to be trying to phase through the floor to slap me. I mean, I can just stand here hammering on this wall. Now this is the way I use the freezy guy. So if I use a freezy constructor, the moment that they hit this wall or a smasher charges at it, he'll instantly freeze in place. So it means boom, this wall goes down, he gets frozen. I can replace this wall immediately afterwards, after he's just frozen himself, and then it means these wall launchers get a chance to go off again. If I'm not sure if these work the same way as the floor launchers, I'll have to ask Isherwood about this. But when they get up here, if there was multiple husks, then if this works the same as the floor launcher, then they will get catapulted with multiple impact. Or because these are fairly fast reloading ones, these reload every, what is it, 4.3 seconds. So I mean, they're not only they'll get here, they'll get sort of frozen by the wall for 4 seconds. This will get to go off once, and then shortly just after this one, yeah, so shortly after you spam the walls a couple more times, the wall launcher would have fully reloaded and be able to catapult it to hit a second time. And that is the chiller box. Chiller box. This is the cheese grater build. So yeah, I hope you liked it. This was a very small one. I really hope to do the updated version for how I used to have it, because it was really nice how I used to have it, and it doesn't rely on this kind of shape. This shape looks more like a cheese grater, but it doesn't perform as well as if you slope them the right way so that they don't clip the bottom of the floors. So I did have a build before where I actually weave them in and out, and it just means that when they hit up the top, they're not clipping on any of the corners, because they line up perfectly with wall launchers down below as the walls, so that they just kind of slide up and perfectly just go in it without clipping their heads on the top of these bits here, and then just pinging off and come back down, which can occur sometimes. So yeah, I hope you liked this video, and it was just a quick one to show off the cheese grater, which I hope to kind of expand a bit more in the future. Yeah, so this is the cheese grater thing up here. Up here we have these ceiling drop traps. Now these act like the cheese, so as soon as the husk comes up here, they're going to trigger, and then they're going to slide down the slope and hit the floor tile which they actually got catapulted from. So if they get catapulted from the first one, they're going to come up in this line, hit this, and then land onto this panel here. Now once they've hit this panel, it's going to trigger this ceiling drop tile to come down this ramp, and they're going to slide and land on this floor piece, therefore directly impacting anything which is just passing beneath it, or to try and stop them. Now, this really honestly, the seeing drop tracks don't do too much. They're just a bit of fun. Really, that's all. That's what they're there for, as well as to kind of form the sort of the cheese grater kind of build, because obviously it looks like cheese going through a cheese grater, to be honest. So as a husk comes up here, they trigger this, the husk despawns, and the tires fall down to the ground. If anything, it's just more stuff in the way. It's funny. Looks like cheese. Well, it doesn't look like cheese. More looks like rubber cheese, like giant, massive tires. But that anyway. This is the cheese grater build, and I'll see you guys around.